IELTS Writing Task 2. Different types of essays. Understanding the different types of questions that get asked in your test and knowing how to respond to them and how to structure your essays has 3 really important advantages. First, it's going to help you to save time. You've only got about 40 minutes to write your essay and you really can't afford to waste any time. Understanding the different types of questions before you go into your test so that you're prepared, so that when you read the task instructions you can deal with them quickly and efficiently is going to save you time. Secondly, it's going to help you to structure your essays better. What does that mean? That means you're going to get a better score for cohesion and coherence. This is because the structure of your essay, the overall structure, is extremely important for getting a high score for cohesion and coherence. I'm going to show you 3 different structures that you can use with the different types of questions that you get in your test. This is going to help you to get a high score for cohesion and coherence. 3, you're going to have a better response by structuring your answer in the right way, by responding in the right way to the different types of questions. You're going to have a better response to the questions. What does this mean? This means you're going to have a higher score for task response. So essentially what I'm saying is, by watching this video, by learning about the different types of questions and how to recognize them, you're going to save time, have a better structure, and have a better response. These are all going to increase your score in the IELTS writing test. Now, before I go any further into these different types of essays, I just want to mention that the purpose of this video is to give you an overview to the different types of questions that you can expect in your test. Now, in later videos, I'm going to go into more specific details about each type of essay. Okay, so the purpose of this video is to get an overview to the 3 types of essays, and then I'm going to be having daily releases over the next 3 days to show you the 3 types of essays that you need to be able to write in your IELTS writing test. So you might want to subscribe to me so that you'll get notifications of these videos as I release them. As I said, I'm going to release them over the next 3 days to support your learning. This video goes general. The next 3 videos are going to go specifically into each type of essay. I'm going to show you in detail, step by step, how to plan your essay, how to write your essay. Alright, so let's start off then and look at some typical task instructions. What I want to draw your attention to here is this key part in here. And what we have first is the topic. The topic is computers are being used more and more in education, and some say there will soon be no role for teachers in classrooms. Okay, so essentially it's about computers becoming more prevalent in education and whether teachers will have jobs in classrooms anymore. Okay, so that's the topic, and then we have the question, do you agree or disagree? Okay, so you're asked whether you agree with that statement or disagree. Okay, so I call that the question. So the first part is the topic and the second part is the question. Now let's look at some of the requirements for some of the different types of questions. The question that you just saw is this first type, opinion. The requirement of this type of question is to give your opinion. Essentially the requirement is to say what your opinion is and then state some reasons for your opinion. We can contrast this with the second type of essay that asks again for your opinion, but also asks you to discuss 2 aspects equally of an argument. All right, so this type of essay is not just about your opinion. You need to discuss 2 sides of an argument and then give your opinion on it. So I call this a both sides an opinion essay. So we've got our opinion essay that just asks for our opinion only, and nothing about what other people's opinions might be. And then we've got our both sides an opinion essay, which is essentially what are the arguments, what are the two sides of an argument, and then what's your personal opinion on this. And then we've got our third type of question, that is what I call a two-question essay. And this is asking you to discuss two questions roughly equally. You're going to respond to each of these questions roughly equally. Okay, so we've essentially got three types of questions, three different types of requirements that the Ielts test is wanting to see if you're able to respond to. The first type is to just give your opinion. The second type is to discuss two sides of an argument and give your opinion. And then the third type is to respond to two different questions. Now let's see some typical question words that signal which of these three requirements which of these three requirements the examiner is looking for you to respond to. Okay, so key question words for an opinion essay. These are some typical questions you're going to see when you take your test, or if you look at past test questions. What is your opinion? You've just asked for your opinion. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Or you might be asked more specifically, to what extent do you agree or disagree? Now this one requires that you not only say whether you agree or disagree, but how much you agree or disagree. So it's not enough to just say that you agree or that you disagree. You must say how much, like do you totally disagree, or do you somewhat disagree? It's important to respond to this. So essentially we have one type of question here, opinion essay, but there are different slight nuances or slight differences between each of the types. So let me put that another way. There's opinion essays, there's questions that ask for your opinion, but then there can be some subtle nuances or differences in the way that you need to be giving your opinion. The third type, do you think the advantages outweigh the disadvantages? Okay, again, you're asked for your opinion, but it's a slightly different question here. You're going to need to say whether the advantages outweigh the disadvantages or not, or whether the disadvantages outweigh the advantages. And then again, why? Why is it that you have this opinion? What are your reasons for your opinion? The next type of question is the both sides an opinion question. Let's look at a couple of instances of this question type. Discuss the advantages and disadvantages and give your own opinion. Okay, so you're essentially being asked for three things here. You need to mention the advantages, the disadvantages of something, and then give your own opinion. So if we back up to the sample sort of question earlier, if it's about increasing usage of computers in classrooms, what are the advantages of this? What are the disadvantages of this? And then what's your opinion? Do you think the advantages outweigh the disadvantages, or do you think that the drawbacks are stronger? So essentially three requirements: advantages, disadvantages, your own opinion. The next question type, the next example of a question, discuss both sides of this argument and give your own opinion. So this, using this sample topic, the two sides could be whether learning from a teacher is more effective or learning from a computer is more effective. And then what's your own opinion? Which side do you support more strongly? What's your opinion regarding this? Okay, so there's three requirements with this question type. You need to discuss one side of the argument, you need to discuss the other side of the argument, then you need to give your own personal opinion. Note that when you're discussing each side of the argument, this is best done from a neutral perspective. This is not your opinion, because you've been asked to discuss both sides and give your opinion. So discuss each side from a neutral perspective, then give the examiner what your personal opinion is. In conclusion, I believe that the advantages outweigh the disadvantages. And then you would go on to explain why you have this opinion. Now let's look at the third question type, the two-question essay. So with the two-question essay, you're asked to respond to two questions. Let's see some examples of this. What problems does this cause? What are some potential solutions? So this one's sort of a classic two-question essay. When Ielts was first sort of started, I guess it's about 20 years ago, they almost exclusively use this question. And so sometimes people call this a problem and solution essay. What problems does this cause? What are some potential solutions? However, in more times, the types of questions are much broader. Let's look at another example. With this one, do you agree? So you're asked whether you agree with a statement. Maybe the statement's about solutions. Is technology the best way to improve educational outcomes? Is the increasing use of computers the best way to increase educational outcomes? You're asked for your opinion on this. Do you agree that it's the best way? You might feel it's a good way, but is it the best way? Do you agree? So you're asked for your own opinion, but it's not enough to just give your own opinion, because there's a second question that we need to respond to as well, and that is, what are some other solutions? And so other solutions for increasing educational outcomes might be, so this would be other than sort of computers. Some other solutions could be to train teachers better, to decrease the class sizes to have a higher student to teacher ratio. It could be to improve the testing system so that tests are aligned with learning. So that's some examples of some questions and how we can divide those into our three essay types. Opinion essays, both sides an opinion, and two-question essays. Let's look at some whole tasks just to increase your understanding so you can really appreciate what's going on here. Here's the task instructions for an opinion essay. Computers are being used more and more in education, and some say there will soon be no role for teachers in classrooms. Okay, so that's the topic, and then we've got the question words. To what extent do you agree or disagree? So if you're agreeing, then you are believing that there'll be no role for teachers in classrooms, that teachers are going to lose their jobs. And if you disagree, then you think that teachers will still be needed, that teachers will still be needed in classrooms. And note that you have to say the extent. So you could totally agree, you could totally disagree. The key point is you need to say how much you agree or disagree. Now, you can also somewhat agree or somewhat disagree, but be careful. Be careful what you're somewhat agreeing or disagreeing with. So, for instance, if I want to somewhat agree that there'll be no role for teachers, this means on the whole I agree, and I might talk about how computers are cheaper and how learning is more effective. But if I somewhat agree, that means there's some aspect that I disagree on. And this aspect could be with certain types of students. For instance, with very young students, maybe we're still going to need teachers. What might be the reason for this? Well, if they're going to learn from computers at home, who's going to supervise them when parents go out to work? So we might have the argument that we somewhat agree that in most cases we don't need teachers. However, we disagree when it comes to very young students. So the next type is our both sides an opinion essay. And as I said, I've changed the topic slightly. They normally end up longer topics because we've got to get this idea of there being two sides to an argument, whereas back here the statement can just cover one single side of an argument. So here we've got two sides. Computers are being used more and more in education. So that just generally introduces the topic. Some people say this is a positive trend, while others argue that it's leading to negative consequences. Okay, so essentially we've got computers being used more in education, and then the two sides are, is it positive actually it's what's positive about this trend and what's negative about this trend. And then the question words, discuss both sides of this argument and give your own opinion. So the two sides of the argument are why it's positive, why it's negative, and then you're required to give your own opinion, which is probably going to be whether overall the advantages outweigh the disadvantages or the other way around. Now turning to the two question essay, here's the topic. Computers are being used more and more in classrooms. Now here's the two questions. What are some of the problems it causes? What are some of the possible solutions? Okay, so our two questions are problem and solutions. Let's now look at some real tasks from past test papers. We're going to be looking at the essays from Cambridge Book 14 of past test papers. Let's have a look at the first task and see what type of essay it is. Some people say that music is a good way of bringing people of different cultures and ages together. To what extent do you agree or disagree with this opinion? Now, is this essay asking for your opinion, both sides in your opinion, or is it asking two questions? Clearly, it's just asking for your opinion and nothing else. It's an opinion essay. Now let's look at the next question. Some people believe that it is best to accept a bad situation, such as an unsatisfactory job or shortage of money. Others argue that it is better to try and improve such situations. Discuss both these views and give your opinion. So what is this one arguing? It's obvious. It's the both sides and opinion essay. Let's look at the next one. Some people say that the main environmental problem of our time is the loss of particular species of plants and animals. Others say that there are more important environmental problems. Discuss both these views and give your opinion. Again, it's a both view and opinion essay, both sides an opinion essay. Let's look at the last question. Nowadays, many people choose to be self-employed rather than to work for a company or organisation. Why might this be the case? What could be the disadvantage of being self-employed? Okay, so clearly it's a two-question essay. We can see two question marks. This helps make it crystal clear that it's a two-question essay. Alright, so I hope that video was useful. I hope you can see how you can look at any question that you get in your writing test and divide it into one of these three flavours. Opinion essay, both sides an opinion, two-question essay. If you found this video useful, remember that I'm releasing more videos over the next 3 days to go into more specific detail. Now what I want you to do is to subscribe to me. This way you're going to get notified as soon as I release those videos. I'd also like to give you a bit of a homework task just to help you check your learning. So what I'm going to do is in the description below this video, I'm going to put 10 sample questions and I want you to look at them and see if you can sort out which of the three question types is it. If you can, please respond in the comments section. I'd like to get a little bit of a discussion going. It'd be interesting to see how easy it is for people to categorize these essays. I think it's really easy, but for some reason, some students find it difficult. Maybe you find it easy, maybe you find it difficult. Let's find out. It's definitely worth thinking about it because during my experience as an examiner, it's blatantly obvious that many students are struggling with this issue of trying to establish what the examiner wants from them. What is the question asking? I'm not going to put the answers into the comments section straight away. What I want to do is have a bit of a discussion. Even you can have a discussion. You can give somebody feedback if you disagree with one of their answers. You could respectfully disagree and maybe write down what you think the answer should be and why. So that you can check the answers, I'm going to put the answers on my website, and I'm putting a link at the end of this video to my website, and I'll also put my website in the description below this video so you can look there as well. Don't forget to subscribe to me so you get notifications of upcoming videos. Good luck with your studies.